Holy smokes. Where am I at? Where are my levels? Where are my levels? I don't even know if that's a thing. Where am I? How sweaty am I? I'm in the new workshop. There's a jet boat right there. And I could just go through and there's a little cross stick, my daughter's life jacket, a lamp, an old cooler that doesn't have a zipper. It's a Yeti cooler with a very strong zipper. Not the strongest. The zipper itself, like the actual, this part, is very sturdy and arguably waterproof. And airproof, actually. I took that to Puerto Rico and brought back some, I forget what they call it, but it was an amberjack that my ex-wife reeled in stubbornly. And yeah, had to pack it like right before. Has my torso shrunk? No, that's better. Right before getting on the plane back, just had to put ice and ice water in it because I couldn't put dry ice. I'm pretty sure because it would explode because it was airtight. That's not actually the case. I think it was more likely that dry ice is just not cool on, I was going to say an international flight, but I digress. A rope. I'm probably gonna have that for, I'm gonna say 3 more years. If I hadn't said that, it'd be, gosh, probably 4 or 5 years. Haven't used a lacrosse stick yet. I got that to play with my daughter. Old musky net, shitty net with not good for fish netting. Never gonna use that. It's gonna stay there until I move. Daughter's bike. Daughter's bike. Doesn't really use those. Speakers, a fan, neither of which are hooked up. Painting for my mom. Painting for my mom. Picture of my daughter. Picture of me and my daughter when she was a little one. You guys, I think, are understanding what is happening here. So it's been a hot minute. And you know what? Shout out to the one like Eastern Bloc dude. I know I'm sweating. It's just, do I be sweaty and risk the anxiety later about the audio? Here's the deal. For anyone that actually cares, or doesn't care, for anyone that is interested in this, or anyone who will be, a little bit of sweat's not going to be a deal breaker. It's going to be me at length discussing the very minutia, the finite details of how and why I'm anxious about different ways in which I'm insecure. I feel like if once you're past that, it's dampness is where, and I have an old shitty air conditioner, so it's kind of like it's just this perpetual state. I'm gonna start tying this thing because I want to go fish. Of not necessarily sweaty, although it has picked up now that the air conditioner is off. I want to try a tie a drunken disorderly, white on white, silver, but I'm doing the head of a swim bug because I want to go fish. So yeah, it's not like I'm sweaty. It's that, and that's not saying I'm not a sweaty person. I'm not really, but that's not what I was saying anyways. it's not like I'm sweaty. It's that there's this perpetual state of kind of sweaty, but it's like if you go exercise, which I'm sure some of you do and others do not. If you're the American public, Lord only knows. We'll continue that discussion at a later time, maybe right now. I don't know. I don't know what the American public looks like anymore. I'm not saying that to be like, oh, where are we as a culture? It's just I genuinely have sort of removed myself from the situation. I'm pretty sure it's fat and stupid, but I don't know that, and I don't know if that's entitled of me. So here we are. It's all right. It's maybe you've worked out before. Maybe you work out regularly. This is a fly tying video, and like what might be more fitting for a lot of you is you've been drinking light beer outside for hours and hours, and then you're home, and you're kind of just like I'm not. First of all, I'm not getting shit done, and all of those good ideas I had about doing whatever are just not gonna. They're still great. Still definitely gonna maybe even text this person that I committed to whatever with. You're not going to. But you're just kind of, oh. And you need to shower, and that's really what it is. I think the best way to describe it is needing to shower. But you've already had your fun in the sun, and it's over, and you were probably a little wet, just slightly damp throughout that process, because you're probably a little out of shape. You're walking around, going to the next beer garden, and so you just have this this layer. I'm worried about how swoopy things are, but I also realize I've been wearing my headphones so I need a haircut pretty badly. And then you're finally back. You're saying, "Wow, what a fun time that was with friends." And I need to shower. And so that's kind of how I feel like right now, except without any of the socializing or drinking, or like I had a good time. Well, that's not true. I did have a fun time. Kind of. I redid the flooring on the boat, which is just not the cheapest, but not the most expensive plywood. I went with the heavier selection for the middle of the boat because it tends to ride. No, that's not true. I lied. I was about to lie twice, but I only lied to you once. I went with the heavier wood for the back section of the boat. And I thought I screwed up until right now. Because, alright, you're gonna get in closer. And then you're gonna switch. Yo. Right, so I wanted it to kind of the thought process that I was it's like when you carry a fraction the wrong way through. For all of you doing geometric proofs and maybe chemistry or physics, you carry a fraction or a unit too far, and then you get to the end and say, oh, well, shit. That doesn't make any sense. And it's just, you get a B plus because it was just a little bit of a mistake. If you could actually use a graphing calculator and we're looking at real numbers instead of just symbols, you probably would have caught it sooner because you did everything else right. Clearly you know your shit. But it's how you think that matters, your ability to track. So I got to the end and said, well, I screwed up, except my answer key was wrong. That's my brain. So I don't like when the boat is riding too heavy in the front, and when I have the spare gas tank up front full and the anchor hooked up there and the trolling motor, it just, especially if I'm really ripping and going through tight stuff. See that video of me fishing on the French Broad. I'm just gonna spin this and keep touching dead deer here for a few minutes. It just, the front corner dig, and it's an 18-foot boat. I was explaining this to someone saying, yeah, it's like, he's like, it's like a ski, like the ski catch. I was like, dude, that's perfect. Yeah, it's because it's 18 feet long, which, to do this over, I'm still getting the boat because it's fucking awesome. But the next iteration of this boat might be the same motor. 4028 Suzuki, 2-cycle, weighs 150 pounds, and just, rebuild it 1,000 times. So it's light enough to where when you hit it unlocked, it just pops up versus pulling the back of your boat off or itself breaking. So right when your ski tip or your ski edge catches and it starts to really, you're not going to fall down the mountain, you're going to flip the boat over. Which honestly, I don't know, 30 miles an hour flipping over a jet boat, maybe into timber. I'm not doing anything crazy stupid, so I don't think we're going to get there. But I've had a moment or two where it's like when I'm changing the setup, or I go from one place to another, have the trolling motor in the back, put it up front, because it's 18 feet long, force times distance. Changing that center of gravity happens very quickly with not much, maybe 30-ish pound trolling motor, and don't get on my, there's going to be like, how many followers, like 40 something thousand followers, at least a few hundred comments being like, oh, what kind of trolling motor do you have that weighs that much or that little? So let's say between that and the anchor, it's, a 50-pound differential over 18 feet. Ends up being a lot. So that heavier plywood is in the back section, which is also where I'm going to be putting the casting braces, modifiable, transferable. I can move them, pull them out, put them back in. So I have a little extra weight hanging out in the back. And the thinner stuff that I just reused from my man Brian, I'm starting to not sweat as much. I think that's because it was maybe a dose of anxiousness, anxiety, plus just like milling around, and this is like going through one of those agility or whatever, jumping through the tires, stepping over cords and shit. I mean, I do have it a little more set up than it has been, but which is nice. It's not less set up than it has been. Feel pretty good about that. But also the sun's probably, there's a lot of factors, there's a lot of variables to everything that I do, all situations that I put myself in, maybe so that I can have enough excuses when things aren't up to whatever my standards are at the time. Fly tying. I did 2 spins. Well, 3. On the one I did yesterday, I stacked. I stuck. And I'm kind of just spreading this pink out. It looks like it's a little chunky. Here's one of the things with deer hair tying. Once it's on, and this goes doubly for bucktail. Once it's on, and if your deer hair isn't shitty and overcooked, you can, if it's gonna break when you're mashing it around, it's gonna break. Like, it's gonna fall off the fly. So you may as well get it over with and have a product that you at least like the looks of right now. And then if some falls off the fly, whatever. We're gonna go fresh blade. I have opened, I think I get 1,000 packs of these, probably a couple thousand, and I'm doing less of the crazy commercial tying right now. I know I'm not out of the weeds yet. Book your trip at elliswardflies.com, or hit me up on Instagram at elliswardguides. I should consolidate naming conventions, but look, at the end of the day, I'm afraid of success. So I'm going to keep enough roadblocks. I did actually go on a Google Ads. So first I'm getting what I believe to be an even bottom, and then we'll rip around the top. And something, if you're tying this at home, I'll show you a little fun. It's also a beer by Lagunitas that I probably also had thousands of. I was saying I've opened thousands of the Dorco. So I do want this coming back all the way. And then if you get the deer hair right, you can almost follow that density line. How many have I lost? I'll tell you what I have lost. My mind, that's not true. It's still here. Maybe better than ever. No, I have lost, look, you just got to go in and get it done, all right? I've lost a little bit of, yeah, we're gonna ramp the sweat back up as I get into the deer hair work. I've lost a little bit of the post beer garden damp. It's sticky. I think that's what I was looking for. It's a stickiness, but also as I lean forward, I can feel the dampness in the shirt. So it's both damp and sticky. And what I'm protecting as I'm blowing is the small pile of razor blade wrappers. I mean, it looks like a Coke dealer's house. because I do use, shout out to Kelly for all the little, that's one of the reasons that after doing some more tutorial type videos, even though I differ in opinion on a few things about fishing, particularly don't jerk strip. But trigger warning. Those videos, and it's his little, when he stops and goes, and then talks about the specific type of marabou that he likes for this specific application, and then also discusses the pros and cons and what the other marabou that he's not using, like this completely, it's here's what I'm using and why, and then also here are some other things, and then he'll talk about what Charlie Craven uses, and he uses just the sides. Kelly likes the tips. I think I've transitioned to a little bit more of pulling off from the sides. I like but just marabou as like most natural materials, like the material, it's each of the fibers are tapered. So if you take the straight piece, you have a tapered piece. I've just taken the edge off a little bit with that trimming. So it's making this front jam a little more challenging, but that's all right. I switched the blade around. As I was saying, before you've gotten me off topic, I've had thousands and thousands of Lagunitas. That's not true. I've opened these little fold wrapper and then the internal like wax paper so many times. I've also just done that so many times. I saw a warning on don't judge me for this, a Craftsman, it's an electrical, I should use the other side. It's an electrical weed whacker. I already have multiple batteries from a drill. There goes the papers. From a drill and a saw. Now, I don't want a big collar at all. This is, I want some instability in this. It's also, that's still a good amount of deer hair that is going to, I would say, provide, but that sounds like a good thing. It's going to, it will have buoyancy, and I don't want buoyancy back there. I just want it in the head. So you really end up, I like having a little more friction on top. Just on the head part to right size on the keel. Which sort of goes against some other components of what is happening on the fly, but look, at some point, you just have to say, can you shut up? Can you shut up and fish? Which I find myself doing, because there are times, if you can imagine, where I'm not shutting up. And therefore, I'm not fishing. Alright, we're going to give this, I don't like that That dome. I want it to kind of teardrop, which is tough when you have. I was happy with with that first tie, and then now I'm kind of meh about it, but that's all right. Ooh, I think I hear rain. It's time to go. Now I am also putting UV flex on my mallard, on my lure, so that I can be, somewhat liberal with my social welfare agenda, with my razor cutting, and not worry about if I'm ever tying in something that I know is going to be against a structure, a something that I will be cutting with a razor blade. I like to put a little flex in there to make sure everyone's dangles are angled properly. And we're just gonna do we're just gonna do a little bit of this, a little bit of bone dry. Isn't that nice? You could listen to this before bed. We're just gonna put a little bone dry on. The other camera has a full memory card, so it stopped recording my face. And you know what? I can look at that with frustration, or and say, hey, my life just got a little easier. Don't worry about that thing you have to do. It can wait. You'll get a hard time for it, and you should probably get out of bed and do it. But, it can wait. Keep telling yourself it can wait. Keep telling yourself to prioritize sleep and never get anything done. And look around you in your mediocrity and say, hey, at least I've been getting my 7 to 8. Now, deep breaths, drift off. I do listen. I do listen to guided meditations if I'm having trouble sleeping. Normally, I just burn the engines until there's no gas left and lose consciousness. I wouldn't say fall asleep. I have improvements to make in a wide variety of places, but I'm okay with it right now. So it would be pretty funny if, like, 10 or 15 minutes when, I'm starting to get a little, I'll lose track of a minute or two, they just start really digging at you. It's like, the real reason that you can't fall asleep is you're inadequate. It's not this whole, oh, daddy issues, I have fears of inadequate. Like, you're actually not good. You aren't doing, you're not doing enough. And what you are doing is not done well. So maybe get your dumb ass out of bed, have some coffee, and get shit done. Oh, there's nothing to do? You're just gonna... Cool. Just blame everyone else, you victim. What are you even anxious about? Do you have a hobby? Do you have something to take your mind off of someone else's life that you've built that you're miserable about? Go do some stuff. Play cards. Develop a crippling online gambling addiction. There's plenty of things to occupy your mind until you start to nod off. Drugs. I mean, God, there are so many good drugs. Do drugs. Can't sleep? Do drugs. I say, as I have shit sleep etiquette and probably started drinking at 14 to knock myself out so I didn't have to deal with the issues that I'm dealing at 36. I'll see you on the water. And reminder, if you do feel like hanging out with me, I will talk about my problems to you without any regard for fishing, for what the day looks like. Most trips, I actually just... Some days I don't even take my boat off the trailer. I mean, other times I put it in the water and we kind of just sit in that water at the boat ramp for like 2-3 hours. And at that point, I've instilled enough fear of upsetting me further than some historical traumas have done in you that, like, you're just sitting there like, oh yeah, this is good, I'll leave a good review. Nah, for real. Get out here and pound some fish. It's been good. We'll go see if we can do it right now. Why am I'm being cautious about this? I hope all those were attached. You know what's really embarrassing is tying on a new musky leader and then throwing my fly into the water that is not attached to anything because I just assume everything is going to be done for me because I'm an entitled piece of shit. Can anyone tell I'm fucking... I believe the children would say, the young children, I'm on one. He's on one. Should I tie the anchor on now? Smart. Or later? Whoopsies. Now, if I were actually smart, I'd eat better and sleep more. Speaking of, oh my God. Holy. Holy frijoles. Not racist. Holy frijoles. That feels racist. Look at this. We got a swim bug. And we got an anchor. Not being presumptuous. Difference between presumptuous and assumptive? I don't even know if assumptive is a word. Assumptuous. To presume. You know what's like the scariest part about me just yapping is that this is actually just what is happening in my brain. So, without any external stimulus, and it's actually worse or better, depending on your perspective, or if you're me, because there's more. It's not just, there's no way for you to get all of it. It's like the engine. It's like a V12 sitting on a fucking golf cart. Fucking peel through that. Oh, Jesus, that one looks... That is fresh. That is the one that is just off the vise, and my word. God, that looks good. It's those floats when it's coming sideways. Point side. Other point side. Ooh, that was a big one. Dude, we got weed beds. I mean, come on. Hmm? Come out and play, Mr. Oh, what a cast. What a gorgeous cast. Get inhaled. Absolutely fucking nuked. He says not today. Meow. Sort of regretting not going crafty changer off the rip, but what are you gonna do? Note to self: put some E6000 on that. Guess what? I'm not going to. I will. It's just that note to self isn't gonna do fucking dick for me. Swing! Fuck. Okay, so safer ways to do that. But don't we know these things? Almost crossed them up on that one. That would have been a fucking problem. This is going to be a problem. Okay, enough with the cute video thing.